Welcome to the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. I am Josh here with my man Carlos. How's it going, dude?
Top of the day to you, sir. We might as well just go ahead and let the cat out the bag, talk about the elephant in the room. Why are you wearing that gear this week?
Yeah, I got to rock my Lions cap. Look here. We got Matthew Stafford playing in the Super Bowl.
Sure we do.
We have Eminem performing in the halftime show. As of now, this is about as close as Detroit will ever get to the Super Bowl. I love my Lions. I love them. But it is what it is. So we have to hold on to those connections, and I'm just trying to stay connected.
Okay.
Find that connection.
I
let it go.
Listen, I'm going to let you have that one. I don't think I can get away with actually voicing my opinion right now about what I think. So what I will say is that I am looking forward to the halftime show.
Dr. Dre. Eminem.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar.
That's what I'm talking about, right? At the end of the day, I think that this is probably going to be one of the better ones that we've tuned in for in years.
Yeah.
And even more so, why? Okay, so there's a couple factors about the halftime show that I didn't ever know. So I didn't know that often the performers will have to carry the bill for the performance themselves.
Yeah.
Didn't know that, right? And I also didn't know that those who participate in some of the dance scenes or whatever, they don't get paid.
Exposure.
Expose what?
People benefit from that kind of exposure.
Come on now. Hold on now. At any
now,
given time.
I will say this. I don't know if it benefited the Weeknd last year.
Okay.
Because he's a heck of an artist.
Right.
But the performance just wasn't. It got to the point where he said, man, just call up Drake.
Yeah. So all right, maybe you get some exposure, but think about if you're a dancer, I mean, how many other dancers are there on the field while you're dancing?
So how do you stand out?
10,000 other people carrying parts of the American flag on top of your head. I'm just saying. You did for free? I don't get paid nothing? Oh man, no. I think that they should outlaw having to work for free for the NFL. We shouldn't even be having this conversation in 2020. Everybody should get paid for their work, period. Isn't that funny though, for real? Because, I mean, not like anybody really going to listen to me, right? I mean, do you think that the Ford organization is kind of upset with the turn of events in having traded Stafford?
No, they can't be, because he asked for a trade. You don't want to have a disgruntled employee. You don't want someone who doesn't want to be there anymore. And you have to understand where he was coming from, too. He was 12, 13 years into the league. Your best days might be fastly approaching. Yeah, a move needed to be made.
Okay.
It just wasn't going anywhere.
Okay.
And Stafford, I mean, someone in his position, I wouldn't want to stick around for another rebuilding saga.
Okay.
Because that's what the new regime brought in. They were rebuilding. Okay. Therefore, I don't have that in me.
Okay.
I mean, Stafford isn't the GOAT where you can just go and demand a Super Bowl contending team season after season, but he is a veteran at a point where it's like, I need to be at a place where I have the best shot to win.
Okay.
And honestly, they needed to go at least to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Honestly, they really need to win it all.
Yeah. I'm hating.
Gotta win it all, to be quite honest.
I'm hating. I'm sitting on the sideline like, boo, how we doing?
Well, think about this. I mean, okay, so the draft pick this season that the Lions acquired from the Rams won't be that high because they're in the Super Bowl. Therefore, it is what it is. But you still can find a valuable player low in the first round. You get 2 picks in the first round for the next 3 years. Therefore, it's on the Lions to build their future. Because think about the Bengals. They were the worst team in the NFL 2 years ago. Now they're in the Super Bowl. That's a team we really need to talk about how you can turn things around by drafting and signing the right free agents.
Right. We need to look at their playbook, see what they did while they were at the bottom of the bottom, and just imitate that. Nobody has to reinvent the wheel here. We really don't. So I agree with everything that you're saying. But hey, not that this is a sports show or anything, right?
But I mean, you can't ignore the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl. I agree 100%. So who do we have lined up today for the show? Well, why don't we talk about Mr. Cutis Jemison? So Cutis, if everyone remembers, is the individual, I just say it like that for all intents and purposes. He's the individual who last week, if you remember, when Mr. Cody Barnhart was here and we were talking about the rollout of 5G technology, Mr. Cutis had a whole lot to say in the chat box. And you guys can always go back and see the episode from last week. And I wanted to try to bring him on. And it didn't quite work out last week, but by far, we have been able to secure him to come in today and give us an update of some of the things that he's involved in, as well as why he believes that 5G technology will be the atomic bomb of society.
Wow.
I mean, literally, right? So I am, I don't even think we even really need to even have any more monologue right now. We just simply need to get Cutis into a seat so that we can start chopping away at the bit at some of the things that he needs to bring to us. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Cutis, welcome back.
How you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
All right, so listen, I'm gonna let you have your turn now, Josh, simply because I've been talking to Cutis now probably, I don't know, 2-3 hours today.
Yeah.
He stopped actually by the school and to update me on some things. And I'm telling you, man, this guy right here, this guy is phenomenal. All right, so I was just about to ask before we got started. Now, Cutis, if you guys remember, and you can always go back and check our shows, right? Cutis is the person who is ranked number 50-something.
54th?
54.
54 in the world when it comes to hackers. Now, how do you even get the title of, well, the designation of being in the top 100 of world hackers? How do you even get? And is there like a list I can Google or anything I can just go to and see you on it?
The top hackers of the world.
So there's two different lists. There's one that you don't want to be on, which is the one that is governed by NSA, and Interpol, which is like black hat hackers, you know, who they're looking for and things like that. You don't want to be on that list. Okay. But then there's an ethical list that that I'm on, which is where my ranking comes from. The list there's 5 categories that the list is based off of: education, tools used, knowledge possessed, time to live, like how long does it take you to penetrate to actually get into something. Okay. And then that has different categories, like how long does it take you to get into a mobile network, how long does it take you to get into a actual piece of hardware, or what we call bare metal, how, you know, so there's classifications that you have to go through. And then after that we have tournaments, and then based on the tournament, just like how any other tournament is set up, like if you see like what's called HTBs, like hack the box. Mm-hmm. So we perform like hack the boxes and things like that at a very high level. And we all know each other. So, you know what someone's tools look like that they would use. It's a lot in there, but for the most part, there is a governing body. The governing body is CEH, which is for certified ethical hackers. And there is a list on the CEH website with all of us on there who are ranked hackers, who are ranked known hackers. So.
And Curtis, it's been a while since you've been on the show with us. Just give us a recap of your background. Carlos and I were talking before we came on live here, and you are a person who understands the process and puts in the work.
Yes.
You haven't taken any excuses. You haven't gone down the excuse route to achieve what you've done so far. So give us a little recap of who you are, what you've been through, and where you are right now.
So as you've seen, my name is Cutis Jemison. I was born and raised on the east side of Detroit, the Mack and Connor area, like the real grimy parts of it. I went to, my education starts with Detroit Murray Wright. I went to Murray Wright High School on the west side. From there, I joined the military at 17. I scored an 84 on my ASVAB, so I did pretty good. After that, the Navy, I was one of the Navy, my job in the Navy was IT. And I always loved computers. Like the very first computer that I ever had was a Apple II. And then after that, I had an IBM. So I've always had this passion for computers. You know, like I was one of those people who went inside I'm gonna age myself, but you know, like I went inside of Arbor Drugs and got the disc, the AOL disc that they were giving away for free. You know, and that was my first time on the internet, you know, like logging in through my mom's phone, and she's yelling in the room to get off her phone, you know, to give her the phone lines back. So I've been in it for a while. My first degree was from San Diego State University in computer science. I did that because I was living in San Diego, after which point I came back east. And when I got out of the military, I got my master's degree from NYU, Tandem University School of Engineering and computer engineering with a focus in cybersecurity. I worked in the financial sector with JP Morgan Chase. And then from there, I kind of missed home. So I came back home, which was at that time, it was like the gift and the curse. I was happy to be back home, happy to be closer to my children. But at the same time, you know, I got into some things with some people who I wind up breaking the laws and doing some things I shouldn't have did. Got into some trouble that way, and I paid my price. While I was incarcerated, the Obama administration started a program called the Second Chance Grant Program, and I was a member of the Second Chance Grant Program. I came home from the Second Chance Grant Program and met Jamie Cothey, who is the chief operator of DSDT. And she was talk to me kind of how you guys are talking to me now. I came in there just to take some classes or to take a test or something. And she was like, no way, I'm not letting you out of here. You're going to help. You're going to teach. I've never taught anything before, but you know, I can vocalize what needs to be done. And I started teaching at DSDT, taught there for about 2 years, until I went to a tier 1 supplier, which is Denso. Denso is located in Southfield. And my job with Denso was every piece of equipment that they had, it was my job to try to break into it. I am a black box hacker by trade. I have 15 certifications. I speak 5 different coding languages, all the way down to bare metal, all the way up through Ruby Pearl plus 7. So I'm very versed in the different languages that the computer talks in. So after Denso, when I left Denso, actually my contract was brought from Denso and I moved to Ford, where I currently am now. I'm sitting in one of our conference rooms. When you guys first logged in, I was in my lab area, but it got kind of loud because we're testing the vehicle. So I came over here. So I've been at Ford now almost 2 years. Well, it has been 2 years. It's been 2 years and 2 days. So I've just crossed over my 2-year mark here at Ford. It was a process, you know, like the first year I came to Ford, I couldn't come in direct because of my background. And that didn't stop me. I found a different way. I went through a different platform and got into Ford. And then they backdoored me. because of everything that I know, and I've been here ever since.
I'm sorry, when you say backdoor you, what does that mean?
So, like you guys said, I don't make excuses. A no to me is just a yes spelled wrong. So I just got to find
it. How you spell? No,
it's just spelled wrong. No is just yes spelled wrong. So
right.
you just got to find a different way. So the society has put a black eye on you if you have gotten into trouble, and the black eye is everlasting. Like you can pay your debt to society, but society still puts this stigma on you that you are that person. And true to form, a lot of people do fall into that. But those of us who actually do get tired of it, they try to come out of it, but society does stigmatize you in that area. So when I say a back door, when I apply for jobs, in the very, like right after, underneath where it says where you live, the very first question before they get into any of your personal questions is, have you been convicted of anything higher than a misdemeanor? So once you check yes, or if you can do it two ways. You can check no, and then you can go through the whole process, and then they can do a background check and find out, and then they can just disqualify you based on the fact that you lied on an application. Or you can say yes, and you can risk the fact that they'll look over your application for another candidate who doesn't have it. Or you can do it my way. You can not answer anything on the application, and then you can have a company or a temp service who is already employed with that employer represent you. And then you work for the temp service as a contractor, and they are employed through the employer. You take a little hit at first, you take a couple points because you got to pay the contract house to house you, and to say that you are an employee of theirs. So I got into Ford. That was a backdoor to the contract house. And I worked at contract house for a year, and then Ford rolled me over to a full-time employee without any questions based on that. Because they once they see your work and your work ethic and your process, and then you add value. Everything is value. So once the company sees that you can add value to you, and they can use you for what you need to be used for, and as long as your value outweighs your risk, then the company is more liable to take a chance on the value that you propose. So in the past 2 years that I've been at Ford, with the projects that I worked on, I've saved Ford almost $70 million. And
whoa, hold on now. Can we back up?
Please.
You were talking some numbers to me, and I love numbers. You've saved how many monies?
Well, without getting into specifics because of NDAs, I've saved Ford about $70 million in the past 2 years. It comes out. Well, last year was a lot because of the threats and everything like that. I'm able to recognize threats, I think, on a different scale than normal people who are in this field think on, because they've never been in trouble. So they don't think on how things work on the bad side because they don't know the bad side. I know the bad side because I was the bad person. So it's like, I'm able to look at things a little bit differently from a normal hacker or a normal ethical hacker would look at. Most black hat hackers look at things the way I look at it. So when they present a project to me, they want that specific expertise. Curtis, how would you get into this vehicle? How do you move to get into the vehicle? Can you show us how you did these things? So they brought a car to me, which is a market car right now. So like I can say this, I worked on the Mach-E before the Mach-E was released. I worked on the Lightning. So I get the vehicles before the vehicles come out, and then it's my job to hack the vehicle. My job here at Ford is just simply, I am connected vehicle cybersecurity.
Okay, so what exactly is your title? Can you give me that to us again?
I am the Senior Director Architect for Cybersecurity of Ford Motor Company Connected Vehicle Systems.
Oh. Hercules, everybody. Listen, you can. Listen, did you guys just hear the background that he gave you before he laid up to not quite the finale? But listen to the story that this man is telling you.
Incredible.
He gave you the key to success, right? He told you that he started off, his neighborhood wasn't the greatest of greats either. And despite all that, despite having the college, despite getting into some trouble, now he tells you that he has this phenomenal job with a company that's been here since how long, Curtis? How long has Ford been around?
1911 or
1911. 1911. The company's been around.
And well, it's 18. I'm sorry, 18. I'm supposed to know this type of stuff. 18 something. Whenever so 2 years before the Model T, whatever that is.
You can look that up.
Yeah, we'll Google that. But the point is that nothing stops him. He doesn't know, as he says, no for an answer. I mean, we just need to just park it right there for a hot second, right? Because despite
1903.
1903.
There it is.
1903, the same year Josh started wearing that hat.
I age well.
Right. So this, I mean, you can't, you
Go
have
Lions.
You have to stop and give some credence to that. That definitely is worthy of a you can do it. Most definitely.
Yes,
so
I don't. So when I hear people say stuff like, "Oh, I can't get it because I got a felony," and it's just like, to me, that's just an excuse.
And Chris, I want to dive into your job a little bit more as far as what you do or some of the things you do. It sounds like you take a vehicle and it's your responsibility to find out how vulnerable this vehicle is for hackers.
Yes.
Or to be hacked. And
yes.
so you work out the kinks.
Well, we have a red team. So here we have a red team and they are penetrators, right? So their job is to actually look at those vulnerabilities. It's my job to identify the vulnerabilities inside the vehicle. And then if they need to be tested, then we send them over to the red team. If we need to find mitigation procedures, we'll send them over to the blue team, which is like the defense people. I kind of operate in the middle. It's called purple team. So I'm a purple team person because I know all of the tools that the defense will need. And I know all of the offensive tools in order to penetrate. And I also code. So because I know how to write APIs and I know how to write these scripts for these different vulnerabilities, then I'm able to recognize them when I see them. The person on the defensive side can't do that because they don't know scripting. The person on the offensive side can't do that because they don't know tools. So then you get someone like me who sits in the middle, who both teams will come to and say, "Hey, Curtis, what do you do for this? Or what will I need to do this?" And then it's my job to either instruct the blue team of how to defend or instruct the red team of how to actually penetrate. And then give them the tools that they need in order to do the job that they have. That's one part of my job. The other part is that we have a different team because Ford is so huge. There are different teams everywhere. And we have different teams who work on different parts of the vehicle. And they'll come to me and they say, "Hey, Curtis, I need some security recommendations, or can you take a look at this and tell me what you think about this part of our security code? Or can you look at this and can you look at this whole vehicle and tell me where my vulnerabilities are, or where my access points are, or how do I secure this part? Or is something going on with the Bluetooth? Can you let me know what's going on with that? There's something going on with the Wi-Fi, or we're having trouble connecting to the cloud, or our keys are not working." And then I'm able to go into each one of these components and look. And most time they black box me, meaning that they don't give me any information about what it is other than what I have to do. So they give me a scope of work and then they just leave me alone and say, "Hey, this is what it is. Give us what you get when you get it." And they give me a timeline and I do an assessment and send it back.
So, okay, so get into the meat and potatoes of why we wanted to bring you back now that we've qualified you as the expert.
You know what you're talking about.
Right,
you know what you are talking about.
So last week you were chiming in on our broadcast and you were explaining about how there's so many issues with the 5G rollout. Yes. Can you kind of break that down in layman's terms as if I was a first grader, because I am.
Okay.
And explain to us, why do you see so many problems with the technology?
So right now, we are working on what's called 4G LTE. We are in the 4th generation of wireless communication connectivity. It's 4G LTE is where we are right now. 4G LTE is also backwards compatible with 3G 2G and 1G. 1G just being an analog phone, sending and receiving. 2G picked up the capabilities to send out text messages. 3G capability then enabled us to do limited web functions at a slower speed. 4G speeded that speed up. As a society, as we are today, we are very connected to our devices, but we also connected to the point where we want our devices to perform at a certain speed, because if not, then we'll lose interest and we'll get upset. So the trigger points inside of everything is negative 0.5 seconds, right? So if you hit a key on your keyboard, you should get a response in negative 0.5 seconds. If you don't, then you're going to keep on hitting the keyboard because there's something wrong with it, right? So that's kind of where we are with the 5G structure. So 5G is set up more so on 3 use cases. So the use cases are, what are we looking for when we look at 5G? We want fast broadband, right? So we call that MBB. So we want our internet to connect very, very fast. And that's just the start of 5G, right? So we have our 5G up here, and then we have the connection, right? So we want it to be able to connect very fast. Right now, 4G LTE connects at about 700 megs up and down at the top end. And you're only able to connect maybe 3 or 4 devices to that one specific asset. With 5G, you'll be able to connect 2 billion assets to one modality. So everything that you have inside of your home will be able to be connected to this extremely fast network. So even though it's fast, we have to secure other things to make sure that it worked correctly, right? So with all those devices being connected, what was another thing that we was going to run into? Latency, right? So we want the 5G network to have minimum latency. And the reason why latency is so important in 5G is because if you are driving down the street, which I'm sure that we're going to get into a little bit later, but I'm going to kind of take you there. When you're driving down the street and your car is a connected car, or your car is connected to 5G, you don't want the latency to where if I'm walking with my cell phone and I have my cell phone in my hands, your car should recognize that I'm standing there. Everything is a sensor now. The roads have sensors, all the traffic lights, all the traffic signs. What happens if the latency kicks in and your car doesn't recognize that you're walking across that street because you do like a buffering? Your car is buffering. We can't have that, because if your car buffers and someone's walking across the street while your car is buffering, then you're going to hit them and we're liable. So that was one of the things that 5G emphasized on, was their extremely low latency. So you have low latency with 5G. You have, and you have your mobile broadband connections. Mm-hmm. Now, the most important thing that we are looking at is this right here. So this right here is the machine learning. So 5G, because everyone here wants to be able to communicate, 5G emphasizes on its connectivity to all devices. So the machine learning side of things, which was called mass machine type communication, that's how all of these devices are communicating with each other. There's a backing into this, like 5G offers network slicing, which has never been heard of before. Network slicing says that you can operate your phone, you can operate your tablet, you can operate your car, you can operate all these different devices on the same network as they come out, and which is a selling point for 5G. These are all the positives, right? So these are things that when you sit down with a customer, if you tell them these things, don't you want your phone to be faster? Of course I do. Don't you want to be able to connect it? Don't you want to be able to connect to all these things? Yeah.
We just had this conversation last week. Now, at my house, I have no less than 100 devices connected to my intranet. 100.
But they're connected to an ISP. So that internet service provider is non-mobile. So the internet service provider that has all those devices connected at your house is a non-movable station. You can't take your Wi-Fi box and put it in your car. So that's why you need these mobile communications like this, right? So because you want to take your phone and you want to take certain devices with you when you go and still have the kind of connectivity that you have in your house, that's why you need something like a 5G that has this type of speed. 5G is actually going to be faster than that of your home internet because they are using that same fiber type connection that you're using inside of your home.
Hold on, wait a minute, stop. Yeah. Does that mean I want it at my home too?
You can have it at your home. You can set up a base station at your home with 5G, and it can do the exact same thing as your Xfinity does or your AT&T does inside of your house. Another selling point that 5G had was that is able to be used in a rural area. And for those people who cannot have, who knows like what a, like who's been out to a rural area, your internet never works. It never ever works. They have these big old satellites that they're shooting DSL signals off of. Not anymore, because 5G says that when we come in, we're going to allow you that connectivity that everyone else in these big cities have. So, these are good selling points. And like when you look at it from that standpoint, it's literally like the best thing that could ever happen to us in the world. Like, oh my God, we're going to be so fast and we're not going to have, and everything's going to connect immediately. There's not going to be any latency, and I can connect as many devices as I want to connect. My mind can't even think of all the different devices that are going to be connected to to me at one time. And I'm going to have all this at my fingertips, and it's going to be extremely fast. I'm going to be a moving computer. So let's hurry up and get this 5G stuff out there. Let's do it.
It sounds like a win-win for me. I mean,
it sounds like a win.
I love it. But here's my question, right? So I was actually looking at some stories about the 5G rollout just because last week we really didn't get into a lot of it. And so one of the things I came to learn was that over in the EU, they warn of potential health effects of 5G. Is there any credibility to this? Or is this just some fake myth news or fake news that we get on the internet and all of a sudden we all should be buying into it?
Well, see, here's the thing. The health risks are going to come because of what's called our RAN stations and our base stations. So if you go outside and you look around, they're building up all these big old substations, right? These big old communication stations with all these different satellite links and things on them. Those create radiation. And depending on how close you live to something like that, that's pumping out that amount of radiation, then that's your exposure level, which will cause cancer. So that's where that fear comes in. But the truth is that the actual, unless you're right there at something like that and you're living right underneath something like that, which, prayerfully, you're not, then the chances of you actually being infected by a 5G device or this 5G technology is slimmer than that if you standing in front of your microwave.
Okay.
So that risk in itself is very minimum unless you are in one of those areas to where they have that base station set up and that radio access network set up right there, and you see those big old towers. If you're like living right there, which is the same thing as electricity, they just have to be sectioned off better. So I guess now we're getting into the nasty of it, since I see this chart of it up already. The EU is very, very good when it comes to sending out policies. They can send out a policy and they know how to send things out. The United States, on the other hand, is more stricter in the policies that we enforce when it comes to things like this. So the EU is a little bit more lenient. So when you take things from the EU, understand that they operate on a different set of rules than we operate here in the United States. And if you look at China, China will say there's no health risk, right? So they'll be like, no, it's perfectly fine. China's actually operating in close to 6G right now. They've been operating in the 5G space for almost 5 years.
You said 6G?
Yes.
What?
Wow.
China?
Yes. So they're almost at the breakthrough of 6G.
Oh wow. Listen, Josh.
Okay.
Josh, I think we need to move.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
I need to move. I need to go where there's 6G.
Yeah, but if you let's see the thing with that is China. No, you're not going to China. You don't want to live in China. I've been there. It's not a fun place. It's fun to visit for about 2 days. It's like
At
Vegas.
least they're connected. They're connected.
Yeah,
I'm sure they are connected.
But once you hear the spiel, then you're going to say, okay, I don't want to be in that. So yes, they are operating.
Don't mean to cut you off, Curtis. It sounds like With that being said, that China is on the verge of 6G, 5G is definitely possible. What do we need to do here in the US to work out the kinks?
You can't. You have to, right now it's called acceptable risk. So there's things that we just cannot stop. You cannot stop the evolution of technology. Even if our security measures have not caught up to the technology, or our laws have not caught up to the technology, that does not stop the technology from rolling out. Because of that, what can we do to stop it? You can't do anything to stop it. So you have to accept certain risk, which is where we are now. And you have to minimize those risks as much as you can. 5G comes with a lot of
What do
risk.
you see as being the biggest risk from a hacker standpoint of 5G technology?
5G technology is operating on open source, the same as Linux. And so for those of you who are not familiar with open source, that means that you, me, your baby cousin, or your baby sister can set up and operate in that space. Things like 4G were proprietary, meaning that the communication was sealed. If I'm talking to you through a tunneling protocol, through a network tunneling protocol, it's just me and you in there. There's no getting around that. So 5G was big on that. So people didn't pay attention to that type of security, because when you get on the telephone and you make a telephone call, you assume, unless you're in some type of illegal activity and your phone has been tapped, that it's just you and the other person, or you and the three-way caller on the phone. That is secure tunneling. 5G has removed secure tunneling, because in order for you to have these 1 million connected devices, you cannot operate in that space. You have to operate in an open source space. So that in itself is the gift and the curse. It's good because you're able to use all these different devices the way that we're asking, but it's also very, very bad because you'll run into someone like me who made a rogue or a rogue base station, and now I tell your phone that I am the one that should be communicating with, and now I have hacked into your phone and every device that you have connected on your 5G network, because your phone has identified me as a user, because there is no security. There is no security in that realm of it. The 3GPP governing body, who writes the bylaws of how we should operate in this space, tried to publish rules that we should follow. But the rules are not meant for people who don't follow rules. And so that's where we are now. So rules are for people who follow rules.
Say that line again. Say that. That's a classic. The rules are not meant for those who don't follow the rules.
Right. So here it is. You're making rules for us to set in place. And what a hacker does is he sees the rules because they're published online. So now I know where your limits are, because I know how you're setting up your infrastructure. And so that's where like we fall off at. So do you see everything that we have, like that it does? No. Do I know how to work a DAS system and the things on the back end to make this not as bad as it is? Yeah, sure. But it's still going to happen. It's just minimizing the hit before it actually happens.
Well, here's a straightforward question that we are all wondering. Do the positives outweigh the negatives in your opinion?
The positives definitely outweigh the advantages, definitely outweigh the disadvantages in that aspect. Looking at it from a consumer, from someone who's looking at it from the back end, the negatives are way worse, because when the negative does happen, the effects that the negative will have will be more detrimental. And from a company standpoint, looking at it from a number standpoint, like that hit for right now, my main focus here at work, without breaking any NDAs and stuff like that, is that of 5G. That's all that I do. I handle nothing else but 5G work right now. And so that's where we are. That is what we're doing. That is how we operate. That's how we move in that space. Is if it's not 5G, then I don't touch it. So that's everything from our cloud to our networking to every device that connects to our vehicle. That is the space that I operate in. Wow. So I see the positives in it, and I do think that it's something that has to happen in order for us to evolve. In order for us to get to the next step of technology, we have to go through this, and there's no other way around it. I mean, we did the same thing when people converted over to fiber. So it was the same arguments, like, oh my God, like why, like why is this glass? The glass is not better than this, this, and this, and things are bouncing off of fiber, and why, So we did the same thing. So it's just something that quite naturally I'm a little bit more scary because I see things differently from the normal consumer. But is it positive? Yes, it's positive for you as a consumer because you'll be able to do all these connected devices and all these type of things. It's negative because from a company standpoint, all these companies now have to hire a whole nother team, a whole nother division to handle this part of their product.
Wow.
The networking part of 5G has to be handled by a whole nother team because there's so many different moving parts. You have your networking part, and then you have your security part. So you got to have people who work 5G security. You have to have a team set up of lawyers to where when something happens, how is our treasure chest set up to pay things out? Because you're going to pay something. There's no question about it. Any new technology comes with the risk of pain, and we all are aware of that. So to minimize that hit that we're about to run into, you try to roll things out very slowly. Are you guys going to see all of the 5G technology all at once? Absolutely not. Will you see all of the capabilities that 5G possess? Absolutely not, because we're not ready for it. But there is a lot. So when you think about 5G, you have to think about the way 5G actually works is that it does the same thing as blockchain. So in order for 5G to work and work effectively, everyone has to have 5G. So you have to have a whole lot of base stations. You have to have a whole lot of connected devices in order for it to move at that rate, because it's going to feed off of everybody's stuff. So it'll take a packet out of your phone, it'll take a packet out of this person's phone, and it'll put all those packets together to build what you're looking for.
Here's a question. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt because you just made me think, right? So my mother, right? So my mother has, I call it an Obama phone for those who know what an Obama phone is, right? And will her Obama phone be able to connect to the 5G network and still operate?
Are we talking flip phone?
Yeah, one of them old school flip phones.
It depended on so if her phone takes a SIM card, then we can change her IMSI out, and then once we change the IMSI out to a compatible SIM card, then she'll be able to receive packets from the 5G tower or the RAN tower or the base station. She'll be able to receive those packets. The packets are the same. It's just it puts one bit on the beginning and one bit on the end, which recognizes as 5G. And when I say bit, so right now your 4G, I'm going to use zeros and ones. Your 4G kind of looks like this, right? So all right, so this is your 4G connection, right? So you have these 8 bits. These are your standard 8 bits, right? So what 5G does is it adds a bit here, and then it adds a bit here on the beginning and on the end. And they have to be positive bits, as you see, in order for it to be identified as a 5G packet. And once those packets are sent over, if they can't recognize this front bit and this back bit as a 5G, they recognize it as a 4G. So like your mom, her phone right now is only able to recognize this core packet right here. So she'll have to go back and get a different SIM card, which will be able to read the packets coming on the front end and the back end. Most companies are prepared for that. So if you go in, it doesn't matter, like if it's a Cricket phone, a Obama phone, as long as it's able to be scalable, then she should be fine. Wow. She'll be under the ultrawide 5G ultrawide network, which is the base 5G.
I was sharing with Curtis when he was here earlier today talking. I was telling him for the longest I'd tell it what it is. We don't really get into a lot of religion, but I used to have this scripture that I used to build on all the time. It said that your gift will make room for you, right? You see when Curtis gets up and he starts teaching, it's like he just walks into it. Yeah. Like he said part of when he had the conversation with Jamie that he had never done any of that before.
Never.
Some things you're just born with. He is explaining to me. He knows I'm visual. I need to see it. right? Just like he was talking about the 70 million. How many zeros are in 70 million? I don't know. Write it on the board somewhere so I can see it, you know? But when he sits down and he explains it like that, automatically I'm like, I get it. I get it. And that's because your gift makes room for you, young man.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So when I talk about 5G, like, so I just had a pretty big meeting with my infrastructure team, and again, I'm not going to give out any, you know, because of rules and stuff like that. But let's just say that no one is prepared for what we're walking into. Can we be at a ready? We're at a ready because it has to happen. But is any of us prepared? No one is prepared. Nobody is prepared for what we're about to walk into. Because we have not seen what the bad actors are going to do. We haven't seen that 0-day attack. For those people who are not familiar with a 0-day attack is, a 0-day attack is something that happens right then. So there is no, we found the mitigation for, you know, it's going on right now. Like we figured it has no resolution to it. It's a 0-day. Today is the first day that we figured this out. There's going to be, if I had to put a number on it, when 5G rolls out, within the first 2 months, we should have about 1,200 new vulnerabilities. And when I say new vulnerabilities, that's vulnerabilities that we thought we had already mitigated, but because we have removed certain elements that we had in 4G, which protected us, now we don't have those protections anymore because we're under an open source network. And we're going to run into a very, very nasty set of people whose job is to either steal data, steal money, or to steal information. Or that, when I say data, I mean they want to get into your phone to figure out what it is that you're doing. And not to mention, you still have that element of with 5G, with the 5G rollover, most times you're going to have to sign a new EULA that says that you agree to a EULA is an end user license agreement. And that EULA that you're going to sign once they do roll these things out is going to literally state that you are acknowledging that this 5G technology is an open source technology, and that a lot of companies are not going to be responsible if your information is tampered. They say that they will be, but companies will do what we can to protect. As a company as big as I work for, I'm not worried about anyone breaking in here. But what I am worried about is what we bring in. So my biggest worry now is supply chain. The supply chains that we use, because their job is to sell a product, hands down. Do they care about security? Sometimes, but you know, it's like if you give me a deadline of 6 months and you tell me that I need to give you 70,000 of these items, do I really care about security? Do I care about it's two things that people look at when they look at from this end. You look at functionality and you look at security. Do I want it to function or do I want it to be secure? And you as the end user, you say, I want my stuff to function right. You know, I just want it to work, make it work. How many people do you know take their passwords off their cell phone, or they use keychains to store their passwords? I just want it to work. I really don't care about security. So they rely on people like me to go in and make sure that the security is working in the background. But it's hard to do that when we don't know all of the elements that we're about to walk into. I have not dealt with some of the vulnerabilities that I've looked at since I've been in networking class, and I haven't been in a networking class in 2002. Mm-hmm. So, and that's how some of these vulnerabilities are coming back and hitting us in the head with this 5G, because we're opening that door back up.
So here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you got the whole if this, then that, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
If we don't allow the 5G genie out the bottle, does the version of the metaverse that we're being sold happen?
Yes. Yes.
We can have the metaverse without having 5G, and I want 6G that they have in China. Right? I just want to say that, right? But the way that we've been explained and it's been acknowledged for the metaverses, will we have any of that if the technology isn't, the infrastructure isn't there to, I don't know, allow us to create it or to support it?
Well, 5G again is a mobile communication tangent, as opposed to something like the metaverse, which will be built on a platform that is not mobile. So 5G would be built on a platform kind of like with servers and things like that. So the rollout of 5G, the rollout of the metaverse would not affect anything inside of the 5G realm. Those are two different spectrums of the metaverse infrastructure is totally different from the infrastructure that a 5G would have. 5G is a communications as opposed to the metaverse, which is a forward-facing technology.
Okay, so now you just make me think about all of that, because when I hear Facebook or whoever the case may be talking about AR connectivity, and I'm walking down the street with these big old glasses and I'm able to see what's happening in the virtual reality, are you telling me that has nothing to do with 5G technology? I could literally
No,
have that.
that's not what I'm saying. So the glasses that you're wearing have to have the technology in it. What the glasses are reading is an already established infrastructure of the metaverse or whatever their AR technology is. How they're able to receive that is through that communication. So the communication that sends that to those glasses, like a 5G, will it work on 4G? Yeah, it'll just move a little bit slower, and it won't be able to give you all of the functions that a 5G would have, because again, 5G relies on other people around it and the other functions around it in order for it to work properly. So the metaverse in a whole is the way that it works is that it literally is a four-dimensional view of what you're looking at on your computer screen.
So this allows me right now to break into a segue to pay some bills, and at the same time to have you stay on with us. Unlike before, Josh, I think we should, because we have the world's hacker number 54 with us, and at the same time we need to get into a conversation with one of our special guests, Mr. Seann Lewis. Now, Mr. Seann Lewis is a virtual, how do we even explain him? He's a virtual reality developer of sorts, and he's been doing it for quite some time. And I wanted to bring him on for a conversation, and I want to park it right now. Let's pay these bills, have Cutis stay on with us for a while, and have a deep conversation about this whole metaverse, AR, 5G.
Virtual reality, 6G.
Listen, I don't know. All I know is I want 6G connectivity. If I go to China, I'm going to get it. Take us to the break, Brandon.
Right now, there are job opportunities in the tech industry we can train you for. In our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility, classes are beginning monthly in cybersecurity, drone technology, digital marketing, computer programming, film production, and many, many others. If you live in the Metro Detroit area and you're looking to learn a skill local employers are demanding, but one that isn't that of a laborer, at DSDT, you can learn a lot in less than a year.
Hello, I'm Jason Stemmer. I served 5 years as a combat engineer in the United States Army. In the summer of 2019, I joined DSDT to learn advancing technologies in computer support, networking, cybersecurity, many valuable tools in digital media. DSDT is partnered with a lot of veteran-friendly employers, and with the help of DSDT's job placement assistance, I was able to quickly begin work in the IT field. I'm very pleased with this direction, as there is unlimited potential in the technology field, with no signs of growth or demand ever slowing. So come in for a visit, take a tour, and schedule a meeting with an advisor. DSDT really changed my life for the better, and it can change yours.
At a Detroit School for Digital Technology, we strive to provide students who are willing to learn new and exciting skill sets with a quality education in cutting-edge film technology to include recording in HD and 4K formats, drone videography, editing, and state-of-the-art color grading. Our instructors are friendly, knowledgeable industry professionals who are willing to teach. For more information, call us at 313-263-4200 or visit us on the web at dsdt.tech.
Let's continue this great conversation, gentlemen.
All right. So, as we were saying before we went to break, we do have another special guest with us, and I definitely wanted to bring him in on the conversation. His name is Mr. Seann Lewis, and Mr. Seann Lewis, as I see him, he's a pioneer in this whole virtual reality, mixed reality, metaverse conversation. And I definitely wanted to get some insight from him as well about the various key points that we are just alluding to. So without further ado, why don't we just go ahead and say welcome to Mr. Seann Lewis himself.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Seann. So you've been sitting probably in the green room listening to some of the conversation that we've been having with Cutis, our world-renowned number 54 hacker, right? And as we began to get into some of this conversation about the metaverse, I definitively want to bring you on and kind of parallel, if you will, how important 5G may or may not be to what it is that you've been doing for such a long while. And matter of fact, why don't you just preface it by giving us a little bit background about who you are, what it is that you do.
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Seann Lewis. I run a company. The name of the company is SeannLewis.com LLC. Just thought, my name would be a good name and just add .com to it. Right? I started off building websites back in 2004, right after I got out of the Navy. Incorporated in 2006 down in South Carolina, and then we kind of moved into. From there, we moved into doing from websites to tech support to software design, and then right around, I'm gonna say about 2010, 2011, when I came back to Michigan, I met someone named Kurt Braun, and Kurt is the one that really got me into this whole virtual reality, augmented reality thing, because we would have these conversations. And he went off to California and came back and said, "Hey, man, I have money." We started this company called Crystal Visions. And from there, that was when I really moved into the whole, in a big way, moved into doing virtual classrooms, virtual workspaces and stuff like that. And I've seen the technology really morph into this whole concept of the metaverse. Where it's like you'll have access to all these virtual things right at your fingertips. That's it. That's without boring you too much.
No,
not bored at all.
Definitely not going to bore us here. That's why we brought you on.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's this whole metaverse thing is actually really interesting, because the technology, a lot of what you see, it's been around for a while. Carlos can remember the days where I had my suitcase with me, and I was literally looking like a vacuum salesman, with all these computers and stuff, trying to show people, "Oh, hey man, I got this virtual reality stuff," and pulling out these huge glasses and all that. And then like a year or two later, that's you started seeing people with the glasses and things. And now when you look at what you can do with just with a small headset, what you can do even on your computer right now. Like I can just kind of move my stuff around in real time if I want.
Oh wow!
Some of this stuff was really, really, really tough to do. Just
what are we looking at there in the background? What's all this?
So we're talking about a metaverse, and so I'm gonna. I'm gonna copy off the gentleman earlier and kind of teach a little bit. I was taking some notes. I was like,
Please
wow,
do. Please
cool.
do.
I need a whiteboard.
Is this like the virtual home?
So so just so we talk about a little bit, when a lot of times when we're talking about these things, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. The metaverse, in a way, is a network of 3D virtual worlds, right? So I'm looking at this right here. And if we look at what I'm looking at right now, when I think of a virtual world or a virtual space, it's simply something that exists on a computer or exists on a network of computers or something like that. So this right here, and you'll see why I'm picking this. This is actually something that's online right now, which is called the Museum of Captured Light. And what the Museum of Captured Light is a virtual museum that will have all of this stuff exists somewhere in real life. So like this wooden statue exists. These paintings right here, they exist, but it allows you to walk through. And this is, we're using Unreal Engine as our technology. It allows you to walk through this museum and just see, all this stuff is, instead of you having to, go to LA or something like that, you could just go online and look at this museum and walk through this museum's collection. Let me go ahead and, so why did I start with this museum? If I hit play right here, you see a little guy running. Let me see where
So is this like a video game or something?
No, so it's actually a virtual space. So one thing that I think is interesting about the metaverse, or the idea of the metaverse, is you'll have these virtual spaces where you can go hang out and just kind of do stuff, right? And then with this museum, and any museum that is actually worth their salt, they actually have a collection, right? And this collection is something that's interesting to the museum. So like at the Louvre, you have the Mona Lisa. And now I'm kind of going into the whole idea of NFTs and stuff like this. And so
how do you control the actions of this virtual space? Is it all mental? Do you have any movements with your body when you're logged in?
So yeah. So right now with this particular virtual space, when it's a keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me actually just back this up a little bit. A lot of times when I'm developing virtual spaces, one thing I learned is not everyone's going to want to put the glasses on. Not everyone is going to have all of the equipment that I have. They're not going to have like a $7,000 computer to run things off of and stuff like that. So it's really just about being able to interact with each other when we're talking about these virtual spaces. I'm hoping that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like some people, they will have the glasses and they will be able to interact with just walking around their space, or teleporting from spot to spot. Other people, they'll have their like keyboard and mouse like I'm using right now, but they'll still be able to interact and have fun within this virtual space. Or
Okay, so can you explain to us layman's? Can you explain the difference between virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, extended reality? I mean, I hear these terms thrown around, and I have not the foggiest of maybe what 5 of them are.
So here's kind of how how I like to look at it, right? Virtual reality is a completely virtual space. So if we look at this space right here, this is a completely virtual space. If I put my glasses on or something like that, this is what I see. Augmented reality is more or less taking virtual elements and overlaying it onto the real world. So I'm a real flesh and blood person.
Yeah.
I hope so anyway. Or else I'm in the Matrix. But but you see me in this virtual space, so it's kind of like an overlay. If I do this correctly, it'll kind of look like I'm sitting in this space. Extended when you have mixed reality and extended reality, and this again, these are just layman's terms, how I like to explain to people. What's interesting to me with that is you can actually start what you do in it's kind of like augmented reality, but what you're doing is you're actually affecting a virtual space. So case in point, let's say I want to fix something, right? And I don't know how to fix it, or I'm trying to fix this computer. Someone can send you instructions, and all of a sudden the computer just kind of breaks apart a little bit, and then now you're like, oh, okay, I can take this piece, and then it shows you exactly how to fix something, so you see it coming together as you're fixing that computer or putting it together. And that's really, without getting too technical about it, exactly how I look at these different spaces.
So with the advent of 5G technology, does that help create a infrastructure that will allow more of these experiences to be had for us all, or is there something I'm missing when it comes to the connection of the two?
So what will happen, I think, with 5G, as our speeds get better, it'll, how can I put it? What it'll do is it'll make things, because things will be faster, it'll be easier to enjoy. And that's really how I kind of look at things. I mean, like, there was a time where I had to, and Carlos, you can back me up on this. Like, in order for me to give you an enjoyable experience, I had like a series of suitcases. This is no joke. I was pulling all type of stuff out of my car, and setting up all these different little things so people can really understand what I was doing. Now I just have like a couple glasses and maybe a laptop, and I can kind of show this to you. I think in the future there'll come a point where you're just wearing some stylish glasses, and maybe when you look at something, you'll have personalized ads just for you. You'll have things like like real-time avatars, right? So like we can be talking, and I'm looking at you, you gentlemen, and one of you guys can be a fish, somebody can be I don't know, a zebra or something like that. It really doesn't matter, because I'll have the glasses on. It'll just change the way people experience things, or experience, or it'll yeah. That's exactly that's the best way to put it.
Okay, Curtis, here's even a more question, and I need to bring you in real quick.
Okay.
As Seann is describing these experiences in these platforms, is there a reason we should be concerned about potential security threats, for whether it be your metaverses, your virtual realities, mix out, whatever the word is we're going to use today, right? From a hacker's standpoint, you hear so many companies now talking about, oh, we're getting into the metaverse. I was listening last week, Walmart was saying that they're going to open up a metaverse, whatever that is, to whoever it is. Are there security threats that innately come along with these metaverses that every company, every crypto maniac is trying to get us to buy into?
Are we opening it up too soon? Too much
Yes.
too soon?
Yes. Just like any other computer, the metaverse is still a technology of a learning process, right? So we're really just taking machine learning and we're trying to expand it. But to answer Carlos's question, everything can be hacked. There's nothing that is safe when it comes to technology, because a computer only knows two things, a 0 and a 1. And once you vary from those two variables, right? Once you say, I'm not a 0 or I'm not a 1, a computer gets thrown off. And if you don't have those protocols set in place, or those different mechanisms in place to say, if they're not a 0 or they're not a 1, then they're automatically a 0. We look for things like that. So if you're not an if, and if you're not an if and you're not an else, then what else could you be? So it's my job. Then that's how a computer thinks about things, right? A computer doesn't know anything else. And even when we talk about the metaverse is still set down by a whole bunch of programmers who have to write this stuff out. And let's just be honest, people are lazy. So I look for the lazy points. Like a hacker is nothing but a person who exposes your laziness in your programming. That's all a hacker is. So yes, I can put a virus in your avatar or in my avatar, and when you interact with my avatar, you have now let me into your secured space because my avatar is nothing more than a virus. So I just infected
hold on, stop right there. Hold on. Wait, stop now. Stop. Are you telling me, because sometimes I go into these spaces, right, in these avatars, and I've come into contact with people I know they sounded like they had COVID on the other side. I'm just going to tell the truth.
So think about it like this. When the reason why Microsoft is so popular, right, is because Microsoft is cheap. It's easy for everyone to purchase and own a Microsoft computer, right? You can pay $200 for a Microsoft computer and you can have every function that a person who pays, or not every function, but you can have those same elements that a person who pays $7,000 for their computer have, right? So a hacker does not want to hack a minority. Right now, the metaverse is small, so hackers are not paying any attention. Is it small in scales of how we're thinking about it? No, but it's small in scales of how many people access it. As a hacker, we don't look at the minority, we look at the majority. I want to hack 17 million people, as opposed to right now, maybe 2 or 3 million people, or or it depends on what world I'm in. So the vulnerabilities are going to come as popularity arises. Right now, it's not popular enough, or it's not used enough for the mainstream hackers to pay it any attention, because there's no money to be made. Once there's money to be made, like now, do you remember back in the day when people like, you can't hack a Mac? That was never true. It's just that hackers didn't pay attention because a lot of people didn't carry Macs around. They were too expensive. Mm-hmm. So if I want to hack something, am I looking at the metaverse right now? Or am I looking at these different worlds right now that I want to hack? Like how you said, Walmart has to build a whole world. I heard it. They're going to build a superstore world where you can take your avatar around in this world, and every product that's available on Walmart's brand is going to be in this world. And you literally pick it up. And when you pick it up and you put it in your cart, because whatever credit card or whatever mechanisms you have attached is going to mail this FT, or it's going to mail this fungible to you in that form because you shopped. It's just like going to the store, right? Mm-hmm. So then you add in all these other elements. So what my job is I want to go to the Walmart store, and as you pick up those apples, I want to put an apple next to it that's really a virus or really some malware. And now you pick up my apple, and when you pick up my apple and purchase my apple, I just captured all of your information that you just sent over because you gave it to me. So a lot of this is permissions. I'm looking for you, the user, to give me permission. Wow. Is that big right now in the metaverse? No, it's not big right now because the market is not there. I don't want to just hack Carlos. I want to hack DSDT as a national company. I don't want to hack Jake. I don't want to hack you. I want to hack Fox News. I don't care about the local Detroit. So I want to hack Fox News. So we don't look at that. I kind of want to
jump in here. I like with any new technology, there's always going to be a security risk. I'm not even gonna, I would. No one who's ever, worked in computers on a professional level is ever going to tell you that there's no security risk. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to really understanding how to mitigate your risk, especially as a small business or as a person that's really stepping into this new technology. It's really saying, okay, exactly how am I going to come into this? You're not gonna catch everything, but you really have to mitigate your risks as you come in. So, and that's different, kind of depending on like whoever you are. Like for us, when we're coming in, we're paying people. We're paying people to make sure that we have our security stuff set ahead of time because we're a smaller business.
Here's a question, Seann. I'm sorry. I got to ask this quick question. Okay. So right here on Walmart, right? So we're talking about Walmart getting into the metaverse, and you guys are actually working on a project right now, this V by R.
Yes.
How do you guys see that as possibly being like some grand scale competition?
Well, here's the thing. You're never gonna compete directly with Walmart. We're not trying to say that we're Walmart. I mean, that's completely insane. What we are doing though is we are creating a virtual space for people who want to hang out at the mall. See, like when I go to Walmart, well, you know, V by R is more of a it's a space where you can buy things and things will, and you know, but it'll also allow you to virtually hang out. You know, so like for those of you who used to go to Fairlane and stuff, sometimes Fairlane in Dearborn, Michigan, would turn into a fashion show, depending on where you went.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, you knew you had to look a certain way if you was going to be there at a certain time because you knew people were going to see you. You know, that's the type of experience that we're really trying to bring in there. And then for my business, in general, this is going to happen. It's kind of like websites back in the day, right? A lot of people didn't think they needed a website until they needed one. And then it was like, they were small, they didn't know how to get this website going and stuff like that. V by R is for those people who I need to get online. I want to show what I have, and I want, so there's two different people we're looking at. I think I'm jumping around a little bit. We have the folks who want to hang out at the mall, hang out with their friends, and do it virtually for whatever reason. Maybe they're scared of COVID, or maybe they just, maybe they don't go out much. I don't know. And then you have the folks who they have a store and they want it in this virtual space. They want people to in Osaka, Japan, to walk through their store, or maybe just in Southfield or Chicago or something like that. But they don't know exactly how to do that, and that's what V by R is here. It's going to bring those two groups together. Whereas Walmart is for people. I'm never going to beat the Walmart guy. I'm never going to beat Walmart. That's a whole totally different type of experience.
And okay, so I get it. Perhaps you never will beat Walmart, but here's what I find so amazing about it, right? You guys have been doing this for quite some time. And now you have some of the heavy hitters that are coming to the space and say, oh, well, Seann, I know you've been doing this for 12 years now. Good looking. You guys were ahead of the game. And I kind of want to piggyback on the success that you were already having in the space. True or not?
No, that's happened. That's happened a lot. I mean, it's a lot of. So here's the thing: when you're moving into these new spaces, the first thing you got to have, I think, you have to understand where you're at, right? So, like, I'm just going to use myself as an example. There was a long time, years, where I was just a guy with a bunch of suitcases, and a whole bunch of tech, and I'm just driving around in my car. Then, so that's where I was at, but I had demos. I actually had something I could show people, which 90% of folks usually don't, right? Then I run into some people, they have money. They say, hey, I want to do this. And as long as so that leads into my second point. You're going to need help, but the people you get the help from, make sure that their vision aligns with yours.
Okay.
So now here I am. I moved from a guy with a whole bunch of suitcases to where now I got more technology. I got this cloud stuff. I got people working for me, but we still have that same vision. And so that kind of leads into my third point: maintain focus. So now by maintaining that focus, we stay ahead of the curve. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like when I see someone like Walmart, or I've seen a few other people who say that they have, malls coming out. Mm-hmm. I could start trying to chase that dollar or showing them something or something like that. But I just keep steadily moving forward with the technology that I have, because I have a very good team. Me and the team, we're really focused on what we want to do, and it helps us to move forward, and that's how you stay competitive in this type of market.
Now, I heard you mention, and I'm sorry, I love this stuff, you guys. I apologize. I heard you mention a minute ago that this is kind of like the day of the websites, when you finally reach mass adoption and everybody has to have a website. So as of right now, I remember a time when websites, you couldn't get a website for less than $60,000. So as of right now, at this point in time, if I walked into the office and said that I wanted to create a metaverse experience of whatever it is, what would something like that cost me out the gates? Just I don't know, maybe it's a hypothetical number, or maybe because you guys are already doing it, but right now at this day and time, what does it cost to build a metaverse experience?
You mean to have someone do it for you, or to do it yourself?
No, I ain't got time to do it.
So if you don't have time, if you don't, for one, you got to have a lot. It takes a lot, right? So, and I can't speak into Seann's spectrums, but I can tell you this: it will be a lot easier than how you said the day of the web, right? Because now we have cloud infrastructures, which will set your platform up. So you can do software as a service, to where everything that you need has already been made, and you're just literally grabbing and clicking and dropping things in. You can do platform as a service, to where you don't even need a server anymore, because you used to have these big old servers walking around, but now you don't have to do that. You can set it up to where you have a server set up through AWS or wherever, to where you're storing everything into your cloud. So because of the cloud infrastructure that has happened, it has lessened that burden, because now you're just paying for certain services. If you're a person like how Carlos said, when they're like, I don't have time for that. You know, like if you don't want to pay like a programmer like myself to come in and actually write all this stuff up for you and take my time, and then, you know, then you got to get a hardware person to come in and lay down all of these and lay down your servers, and then you got to get a person who knows how to operate a server, then you got to get a person who knows how to write in Java, right? Then you had to get this. So who has time for all that? So, you know,
that's a lot. That's a whole lot.
If you run into somebody like Seann, who's been running through the ring with all this stuff, you know, and who's then went through the meal, and even though, like, I learned how to cook eggs, and when I learned how to cook eggs, I learned from my grandmother, right? And she puts the salt and the pepper, and she drops it inside of a bowl, and she mixes it up inside of a bowl, and she does all this kind of stuff, right? And then your eggs are great. But then as I started cooking eggs, I said, I don't need to put it in a bowl. I can just throw it in the skillet, right? So I've eliminated a step just based off of me learning and me doing it so much. Now I know how to skip steps in order to still get to the same goal. Seann is one of them people who can skip those steps and say, I know where the fail is in here, but I also know how to make it work. So it's cheaper for you to find a Seann than it is to find 16 different individual modalities to put something together. That's going to take you forever and a day, as opposed to saying, you've done this. Can you do this for me?
That's what I just asked. I'm still waiting for the number. Give me the
number. That number's hard. That number's hard to get.
It's not an easy number to give. I'm gonna tell you why. Everyone has their own idea as to what they want. It really just comes down to, here's how I like to work with people. I like to ask them, because I deal with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses with big ideas, right? So I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, what's your budget? Like, how much money do you honestly have to get to work?
Sound like a real businessman.
Yeah, that sounds like any business transaction. What are we working with, first of all? And then you determine from there.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Ford Motor Company and you come in and you say, you know, I need a metaverse, so it's like, yeah, boss, I got something here for you. Let's go and get this done, because I know you got the money, right? If you say, if you were to come to me and you said, so here's an example I like to use. I joke around a lot with the number 5, right? I'll say, like, look, man, I got, you know, you'll have some people, they say, I want to do all this, I got $5, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just actually look at this, right? Let's just say you really honestly only have $5, right? Okay, you can see me, you can see that, $5. Mm. And it's like, all right, I don't know it's not a whole lot I can do for you, but then ask yourself, what exactly is a virtual space? You know, what skills do you have? Do you have the time to learn all, you know, you might not even know what software as a service is, platform as a service, AWS, you know, Amazon Web Services. If you don't even know what those mean, that means you have to go out and learn some stuff. You have the time to go learn all this stuff and put this stuff together. So if you don't, and you still have a great idea, then maybe you need to learn how to pitch. I tell people all the time, like, there's I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there's a company out there called Brand XR, and the guy that actually developed it, he was a business guy. He just had an idea, so he did what he knew how to do, you know, which was run a business, get money and pay the people who knew what they were doing in order to put his idea together. And it really, and that's why it's really hard to give that number, because you just have to know what do you have, what are you working with, and how much time do you have to get everything together that you need to put your idea.
I love that you said that, Seann. I love that you said that, because that's true. So many of us, we don't necessarily have the access to the information right now to build Twitter right now, but we do have other skill sets that would afford us the ability to bring that dream to fruition. So that even helps me in some of my thought process that I have about this whole metaverse reality. Is that even a word, metaverse reality thing?
It's close enough.
I just made it up. I just made that up. So let me ask you this, and I know we have to begin to wind down on time, but in 5 years, where are we in the grand scheme of virtual reality as you see it, the technology as a whole?
I say in 5 years, I think it'll really have infiltrated the workspace even more than the workspace. I've already done projects where we use a lot of augmented reality glasses in workspaces. And let's actually look at computers for a second. People got used to computers in the workspace before they got used to computers in the home space. And I think the two things that are really going to move virtual reality or XR, even I'm going to use the word XR in order to talk about mixed reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality. But it's going to be two things. It's going to be the workspace and the game space. Because if you look at those two spaces, I don't need a super powerful computer just to run Word. I don't need something super powerful if I want to use Excel. I do need something powerful if I want to play something like Fortnite at the highest specs, or Titanfall or something like that. Some of these video games that are out there. So that's why I believe that those are the two spaces that's really going to move this technology.
Wow.
All right.
I'll take that. Curtis, I see you there still. Within the next 5 years, what do you see as being, I won't even say the biggest threat to whether it be the virtual reality space or even just the 5G in general? Where do you see us in 5 years? Whether we've adapted it, because China been doing it, so that tells me we gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right? What do you see potentially being the security threats of that technology in the next 5?
The biggest threat is the same threat the biggest threat is going to be the same threat it has always been. The user, the end user is the biggest threat to our mobile infrastructure, our anything. No one can access anything without the user giving us permission to. So as a hacker, I still need permissions, right? So there are still safeguards in place that is just based off of the fact that we've been doing this since the 40s. There are still safeguards in place to where we still have to ask certain questions in order to get certain permissions. And the biggest threat to all of that, everything that we're talking about, is still the end user. An uneducated end user will give us access to anything that we need to have access to. And because of that, social engineering and an untrained user and accessing a person's PII, I got everything that I need. So if you're getting into a space and you haven't talked to a Seann, where Seann's saying, hey, I don't, unless you're a trained professional, then, don't go in this metaverse world, because, they're going to do this, and this. If you don't have that tour guide, like a Seann, who knows how to navigate around and do these things, then you're going to run into somebody like me, I'm a nice guy now, but there are people out there who are not nice. And you gotta understand that 5G.
No. Let the man speak truth.
Yeah, like there are people out here who are very, very, very. There are 3 different kinds of hackers. You have financial hackers, you have political hackers, and you have hackers who do it for sport. So you're going to run into somebody of one of those 3, and most times the ones who do it for sport are the most dangerous, because they have no affiliation, no connection to nobody. They just do it to just do it. you know. So that's the biggest threat, is us. We are the biggest threat to the growth of this technology. If we stand back and just let the computer, because that's what they're doing. Machines are learning. Machines are learning. The APIs that we are creating in these machines, they are learning at a rate that is 10,000 times faster than that of a human learning, right? So, and because of that, we've showed the machine how to learn. And so it is actually like how Seann said, there are things that we're going to be walking into in the next year on a site like this, to where it's going to be the advertisements, but it's going to be advertising specifically set up to target you. And that's based on the fact that your 5G connected device is also communicating to everything that's around it. And it's telling them what you like. So as it's telling everything around you, which is also connected, what it is that you like, now when you pick up your phone, because again, we have network slicing now. So your phone is still operating the way it's supposed to operate, but because of the network slicing that 5G has incorporated, it's going to send you little signals in there to say, hey, you just walk past toaster strudels. You like toaster strudels. Go back and get you a box of toaster strudels, because that's what you like to do. And so therefore, that's why it's scam likely 3,000 is what we're going to run into. So whatever you think of as that, think of it in the worst way possible, because we're going to get flooded with that. And a malware is going to look totally different. How your computer would catch a virus is going to look different, as opposed to how you catch a virus in the metaverse. Your metaverse virus might look similar to that of like a snow cloud or something like that, where it's just, you just see a whole bunch of white snow. Or it could be where they take your avatar and they make 17 different avatars, or 35,000 different avatars of the same avatar, and then they corrupt your page file, and then they fill up your page file on there to where they kick you out. Now you have a direct denial of service. You have a DDoS, which is like a hacker's dream. You know, like two attacks that we aim at is a man in the middle attack to just watch you do whatever it is that you're doing, and we aim at direct denial of service, kicking you out of whatever it is. Elevated privileges. We want to take over your root files. We want to, you know, like if I'm a political hacker, I want to run into somebody like Josh and then like tear his stuff up, and now I'm a Fox 2 News affiliate thanks to Josh. You know what I'm saying? Or as far as Carlos over in the education, you know, or Carlos over in the education sector, you know, like, okay, so you guys do education, you're accredited. That means that you guys have financial aid. And so now I want to hack into a school like that, and they get into your books, and now I got a financial aid all that.
Enough of this money everywhere. Hold on.
But see, that's how hackers think. You got to, in order to beat a hacker, you have to think like a hacker, and the world is not ready to think like a hacker, because we've been brainwashed that bad is bad. But bad in this section is not bad. It's the best thing that could ever happen to it, because without somebody like me saying, hey, why did you guys do that? They're going to do it, because their job is to create a product, is to push. Security always goes in the back, because security scares people. When we start talking to somebody like me, my job is to literally stop a product. The engineers, my boss just left out of here. I have 6 engineers in my lab right now, and their job, right, they hate me. They hate, like, if I meet them in the parking lot, thank God I know how to fight real well. Because if I meet these guys in the parking lot, they will want to fight me, because you've been working on a project for 3 years, and then you run into somebody like me, and I say, nope, I'm not pushing it. It's over. I found a weakness in it. Now you got to go back to the drawing board. So that's why security always comes at the end. Security comes at the end for that reason. So that's the biggest threat.
I heard you mention a minute ago, you were talking about the Commodore 64 back way back yonder, right? How long would you say that you actually have invested in what it is that you do? And I know that this didn't just start 5 years ago. How many years have you been?
I've been in the security world. I started in the Navy, like I said, and I've worked NSA. I've worked in a lot of different realms inside of the security world since 2002.
Okay.
So I've been doing cybersecurity. I've been doing security for 20 years now. Yes.
20 years. And how long have you been in the virtual reality space, Seann?
I've been in the virtual reality space, man. You know, it always feels like yesterday, but now that I'm thinking about it, I've been in this space since 2011, so that makes it 11 years now.
11 years. Yeah.
11 years. And some of y'all didn't even know about it until Facebook said we're changing our name to Meta.
So, and that's the thing. Facebook with the Meta thing, I'm gonna give y'all some. I'm gonna drop a bomb on y'all. Facebook job with the Metaverse is only to collect data.
Absolutely.
They're not as
Absolutely.
major of a player in the metaverse as you call
Absolutely.
it, because this has already been around. So
Right.
like Facebook makes their money off of data. Facebook's job is to collect personal data from you. So,
this is actually going to be interesting because one of the things about that I actually look at when it comes to the metaverse, developing these apps and all that, and a lot of conversations that's actually come up is, okay, what are we going to do with the sheer amount of data that we actually gather?
collect it. Yes.
So I don't know if you guys watch Black Mirror on
All the time. I swear Seann, I was gonna bring it up to him. Like, if you guys have not watched Black Mirror, the series, go on Netflix right now.
If you want to see the future,
and put it, if you want to see how this is going to look, and this is exactly, it's exactly
Black Mirror.
And I told,
so here's
Black Mirror.
So here was the thing that got me in that show. One is they've actually already, people talk about The Simpsons, but they've already foretold a lot of what's happening now, believe it or not. But the thing that really kind of got me was I was talking with some guys about, we were just having a conversation. It was just me and some other people. And I was talking about an episode in Black Mirror where this woman, her husband died. And so they recreated him using data that they pulled from his web searches and everything, right? And so I was talking about how cool I thought that the episode was. Come to find out, you could actually do it now. You know, they were like, nah, man, there's actually profiles that we can run a simulation. We can do this right now. And I was just, this was like quite a few years ago, but the thing that you really got to understand is with that to me, the hacking thing we have to worry about, because if something's stolen in the virtual world, it's just gone. You know, crypto.com got hacked not too long ago, and that money, as far as crypto.com is concerned, is just gone. They had to go pay them people back their money because their money just disappeared into the ether. There's always that type of danger, but I think sometimes we do have to think about what are we going to do, because if you're in this metaverse, inside this virtual space, I have all the data I need in order to create a virtual version of you and then figure out how to sell better to you, or in a little more scary way, hack you. Now, with that said, what I believe is going to happen is, just like with computers, just like with social media, there's going to be an infancy stage, but then we're going to grow into a more mature stage where people, and I don't know, maybe, you know, I think people will understand a little bit better about what they should and shouldn't do within these virtual spaces. That's what I believe.
So, without, first of all, I got to give y'all this. This conversation today was much
incredible.
It was on time. It's relative to the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I haven't asked. Now, you guys know that I'm kind of like the COO of a technology school in which we have students all around, I would say, the world now. And I definitively think that we need to set up a seminar of sorts for you guys to kind of come and give some insight into various industries that each of you are in right now. I mean, I got Seann here who, to his point, I remember when Seann used to come here with his suitcases of sorts, you know, back before there was a such thing that we all now term as the metaverse. And definitely, I mean, come on now. World's 54th hacker? I mean, every time he opens up, there's so much knowledge to gain from them. And I would love the opportunity to have our students have a virtual day, right? Because you definitely still can't do it in person, but to have a virtual day to where we can set up some sort of moment for you guys to kind of expel some of that information to them. Would that be something that you guys might be able to calendar? For me, I'm just saying for me.
Well, you know, I'll do anything for you, Carlos.
All right.
You ain't even got to ask me stuff like that. You know,
there it is. And believe me, I will get with my team. Like, that would be top of the conversation tomorrow morning as we're trying to dig our way out of this snow blizzard that's about to come to Detroit.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to try to figure out how and when we can actually get it set up for you guys to come and impart some of that knowledge with. For myself, I speak for myself today. I let Josh speak for himself. I have thoroughly enjoyed the both.
Oh, absolutely.
I really have. I mean, you really inspire me, just because I don't know what I don't know. And I don't have, like I said, I don't have time. And I'm sure there are a lot of individuals like me. There's two big things I learned from this conversation today. Number one, Seann kind of explained to me, like, my gift is businesses. I don't have time to go sit down and learn how to code and what is Python. I don't know. He keeps using the word of what's the rail metal, whatever it is.
Bare metal.
I don't know. I've never heard the term until today, right? So, but I kind of can figure out how to run a business, and I would love to see some of these ideas that even the students we have here brought to fruition. Biggest thing that Cutis has shared with me today, Cutis said everything is hackable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I don't say anything else, if you guys that are on the other side of the screen right now don't get anything from the conversation that we had, the world's 54th hacker just told you that everything is hackable.
Mm-hmm.
That sends chills up my body. And I mean, I locked my credit report. Does that help any? I'm just asking the question. Said no. He said no.
Would you like to know the data center that controls your credit reports? It's wide open.
Wow. Well, there you go.
So anything that you think is open, like you locked it through the app? We don't communicate through stuff like that. So when you think about, you're looking at front facing apps, it means absolutely nothing. You lock that app up. The app is locked for sure. It's locked. You locked it down. You did that. Good job, Carlos. It means absolutely nothing for me. Nothing.
And that is exactly why I need you guys to talk to the next generation of minds, right? Because so many of them are like a Carlos, who think because they lock their app that perpetrators cannot now get into those various personal informations.
Well, that's where that team comes in, Carlos.
For sure.
You need people like her. I need people like him. I tend to be a little more cheery when it comes to certain things. Mm-hmm. You need that guy that's running around in the black coat, with the hood over. Who it's like, man, why is this guy? He doesn't want the cameras to see his face because he doesn't want the facial recognition. He's going to find all those problems. That's why Ford has him. Yeah. Because he's going to find the problems, and you want him to find the problems before someone else finds the problem.
My boss calls me the mushroom. He said that he puts me in a dark room and feeds me shit, and then I come out with all this stuff.
What? I know Ford got a lot of money. Can't they feed you a little bit better than that?
But that's the mushroom of it. Because my job is to literally go out and find the shit. I hate to curse, but I apologize for my language. I was in the Navy for a long time. So, but that's what you need. You need somebody like Seann, who comes in there and he has the business aspect of it and he knows how to do that. And I don't have that. Like if you say, Cutis, I need to get in this, that's what I hear. Now the price and the money and all that kind of stuff, Seann will be the person who, like how you said, that team, Seann would come in and say, hey, Cutis, stop working. They didn't pay us yet. Because I'll just keep going. Right. Like you got to stop working, Cutis. They didn't give us any money. I only want you to do this. If you don't scale me, if you don't put me on a scope, I go everywhere. I go all down the rabbit holes because I'm looking for it now. Don't do that.
That's the value. That's the value of the team. I was also in the Navy. I was a nuke. So as a nuke, you're not going to ask a nuke like, we got these people to save in South America. I'm like, what are you talking about? I work on reactors. I'm an engineer. Like I don't know how to do that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's in order to make the ship go, and I think that's really the biggest thing. If I was talking to students, it's really do what you know how to do. If you got a vision, do what you know how to do, and then create a team that is all on that, that's all on the same page, and you will get you'll go a lot further than you ever will.
All right, well, gentlemen, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. That was one hell of a conversation.
Sure it was.
It was absolutely wonderful, very informative. One comment we got was, this is probably the most informative episode we've had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Seann, Cutis, thank you very much. There you go, right there.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Hey, man.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Hey, listen, if I had a mic, well, I got a mic. I started to just knock it over. Boom. Boom. Right? I wanted us to begin to have conversations like these with our community. With our community. I mean, this is relative information. A lot of us don't know what it's about. We don't understand the implications of a lot of the hacking techniques. We really don't understand what's virtual reality in comparison to the metaverse. And so we need to hear more of the discussions about it so that we can find our place within it all.
Oh, yeah. It's evolving.
So, absolutely. I'm so appreciative to those that are willing to come on to share a little of their knowledge with us. And I also look forward to having those gentlemen speak to our student body directly in the upcoming weeks. Bravo.
Bravo. Well, with that being said, my good friend, this is the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. Again, a great episode. Carlos, I'm Josh. See ya.
See ya.